प्रेम सुषमापति महादेव की जय, बजरंग बली की जय. As we begin this beautiful afternoon in devotion once more to Lord Hanumanji, we take this golden opportunity to touch his divine feet. And at this time, to all those who are here, we now stand as we join in beautiful Shri Hanumanji Arati. Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Saraswati Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namo Namaha. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Arati ki jai, Hanuman Lala ki. Dushta dalana Raghunatha Kala ki. Arati ki jai, Hanuman Lala ki. Dushta dalana Raghunatha Kala ki. Arati ki jai, Hanuman Lala ki. Dushta dalana Raghunatha Kala. Om Shri Hanumate Namaha. जाके बल से गिरिवर कापे, मृग दोष जाके निकट न जाके. जय श्री राम. जाके बल से गिरिवर कापे, मृग दोष जाके निकट न जाके. अंजनी अंजनी पुत्र महाबलदाई, दर्शन के प्रभु सदा सहाय. देवीरा देवीरा रघुनाथ पताए, लंका जारी सिया सुधिलाए. जय श्री राम. देवीरा रघुनाथ पताए, लंका जाई सिया सुधिलाए. लंका से समुद्र से खाई, रात पवन सुत पार न लाए. जय श्री राम. हरि. लक्ष्मण मूर्छित पदे सकारे, आनी संजीवन आनी संजीवन आनी संजीवन आनी संजीवन प्राण उबारे. लक्ष्मण मूर्छित पदे सकारे, आनी संजीवन प्राण उबारे. बैठी हो बैठी हो बैठी पताल तोरे जमकारी, आई रावण के पूजा उचारे. जय श्री राम. हरि. सुन नर मुनि आरती उतारे. जय 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 हनुमान उचारे. सुन नर मुनि आरती उतारे. जय 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 हनुमान उचारे. जय 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 हनुमान, 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 हनुमान 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 हनुमान। बजरंगबली की जय। आसन लीजिए सब लोग। As we begin this wonderful afternoon, right there at the feet of our beautiful Lord Hanumanji, we take this golden opportunity once more to welcome each and every one. As we say, आपको स्वागतम और नमस्कार करता हूँ सब लोग. To the members of the celestial Gandarvas, to our devotees, our bhaktas, today we want to acknowledge the presence of Bhaiji Prem and the members of our wonderful Sri Dattatreya Yoga Ashram. On behalf of Shri 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 Swami Ganapati Sachidananda Ji, we have taken his blessing to commence our beautiful satsang and worship of our Ashta Siddhi Yatra this afternoon. To our Pundits who are here as well, we say Swagatam. To all our viewers via once more Sankhya Television, to all those who are locked on via YouTube, Facebook, 103.1 FM, we say cordial welcome to each and every one. As we begin this afternoon in devotion to Mahavira Swami, it is one that will definitely once more become epic as we feel his grace and his glory. But to begin the afternoon, this is where we take a moment to stop in everything that we are doing. As you're about to join in invocation, prayer and beautiful mantras, Mahavira Swami, you are known as Bala Buddhi Vidya. And we, your humble bhaktas, will seek that knowledge, that wisdom that you give. As devotees, we now pray as we chant Omkar. Om. वक्रतुंड महाकाय सूर्यकोटि समप्रभा निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देवा सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा या देवी सर्वभूतेषु दुर्गारूपेण संस्थिता नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः या देवी सर्वभूतेषु लक्ष्मीरूपेण संस्थिता नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः या देवी सर्वभूतेषु सरस्वतीरूपेण संस्थिता नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः। तो आज शक्ति दुर्गा देवी भी प्रे, मदर ऑफ द यूनिवर्स, देवी जगदम्बा माता, श्री आदि परमेश्वरी माता, pranams to you goddess, pranams to you Devi. We are humble bhaktas have sacrificed our time, our efforts, our energy, our love and our devotion. And while we prostrate to your lotus-like form and your divine feet, as humble devotees, pranams ma. He Ma Durga, He Ma Durga, He Ma Durga, दुर्गा हे माँ दुर्गा हे माँ दुर्गा जयन्ते मंगला काले भद्रकाले कपालिनी दुर्गा क्षमा शिवदात्रे स्वाहा स्वधा नमोस्तुते रूपं देहि जायं देहि यशो देहि जशो देहि रूपं देहि जायं देहि यशो देहि जशो देहि ॐ दुं दुर्गाय नमः ॐ दुं दुर्गाय नमः ॐ दुं दुर्गाय नमः. As you pray to our Lord, He's called Sankat Mochan. We are at one of the most powerful locations of Mahavir Swami. We are at the most powerful location of the feet of Bajrangabali, at the feet of Lord Hanuman, where he stands 85 feet tall. And in this beautiful and holy ashram, as we gather the energies of Pavanaputra, we join all together. Ulyanya Sindhu Salilam Salilam Yashokavahi Janakatmajaya Ajanate Neva Dadalanka Namamitam Pranjanya Jaleyam Manojavam Marutatulla Vegam Jitendriyam Buddhimatam Buddhishtam Vatatmajam Vanarayuttamukyam Shri Ramadutam Sharanam Prapadye Om Sri Hanumate Namaha Om Sri Anjaneyaya Namaha. Today, my dear friends, as we're about to join in our 40 verses of Shri Hanuman Chalisa, in our hearts, there's no greater place today. To all those who are tuned in, wherever you are locked on in the world, probably right here in Trinidad, locally, or even internationally, wherever you are tuned in, we are at the beautiful ashram of Mahavir Swami, where he stands 85 feet tall. We are right here at the Dattatreya Yoga Center, right in Karapichaima, where the energy of Pavanaputra is powerful, where the energy of Lord Hanumanji stands strong. We had mentioned in our Katha last night, where he took that form 85 feet tall to fight Kumkaran. Today, as we worship you, Lord, in this form, we join all together. Karya Siddha Hanuman. We pay salutations. Shri Guru Charana Saroja Raja Nijamana Mukura Sudha Varana Raghuvara Vimala Jasu Jodaya Kupalacha Buddhi Natanu Janike Sumira Pavana Kumar Bala Buddhi Vidya Dehu Mohi Harau Kalesha Vikar Anjaneya Hanuman Jai Veera Hanuman Anjaneya Hanuman Jai Veera Hanuman Jai Veera Hanuman Anjaneya Hanuman Jai Veera Hanuman Anjaneya Jai Veera Hanuman Anjaneya Hanuman 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 Jai Veera Hanuman Anjaneya Jaya Hanuman Jnana Guna Sagar Jai Kapishati Uloka सुमति के संगे कंचन वरण विराज सुवेशा कानन कुंडल कुंजित केसा हाथ वज्र और ध्वजा विराज कांधे मोज जने साजय कर सुवन केसरे नंदन तेज प्रताप महाजगवंदन जवान गुणी अति चातुर राम काज करिबे को आतुर प्रभु चरित्र सुनिबे को रसिया राम लखन सीता मन बसिया जय वीर हनुमान आंजनेय हनुमान जय वीर हनुमान आंजनेय हनुमान जय वीर हनुमान आंजनेय हनुमान जय वीर हनुमान आंजनेय रूप धरि सियहि दिखावा विकट रूप धरि लंक जरावा भीम रूप धरि असुर संहारे रामचंद्र के काज सवारे आए सजीवन लखन जियाए श्री रघुवीर हर्षि उर लाए रघुपति कीन्ही बहुत बड़ाई तुम मम प्रिय भरत सम भाई सहस बदन तुम रोज सगावे हस कै श्रीपति कंठ लगावे सर्गाधिक ब्रह्मादि मुनीषा नारद शारद सहित ही सायं कुबेर दिगपाल जाति कभी को विद कह सके कहाते तुम उपकार सुग्रीव ही कीन्हा राम मिलाय राज पर दीन जय वीर हनुमान आंजनेय हनुमान जय वीर हनुमान आंजनेय हनुमान जय वीर हनुमान आंजनेय हनुमान जय वीर हनुमान आंजनेय जय बजरंग बली तुमरो मंत्र विभीषण माना लंकेश्वर भय सब जग जान युग सहस्त्र योजन पर भानु लील्योताहि मधुर पल जानु प्रभो मुद्रिका मिल मुख माई दर्द लांग गए अचर जनाई दुर्गम का जगत के जीते सुगम अनुग्रह तुम जीते राम द्वारे तुम रखवारे होठ न आज्ञा बिन पैसारे सब सुकल है तुम्हारी शरणा तुम रक्षक काहू को डरना आपन तेज समारो आपै तीनों लोक हांकते कापै भूत पिशाच निकट नहीं आवे महावीर जब नाम सुनावे जय वीर हनुमान आंजनेय हनुमान जय वीर हनुमान आंजनेय हनुमान जय वीर हनुमान आंजनेय हनुमान जय वीर हनुमान आंजनेय रोग हरै सब पीरा जपत निरंतर हनुमत वीरा संकट ते हनुमान छुड़ावै मर्दम वचन ध्यान जो लावै सब पर राम तपस्वी राजा इनके काज सकल तुम साजा और मनोरथ जो कोई लावै सोई अमित जीवन पल पावै चारों युग परताप तुम्हारा है प्रसिद्ध जगत उजियारा साधु संत के तुम रखवारे असुर निकंदन राम दुलारे अष्ट सिद्धि नवनिधि के दाता सबर दीन जानकी माता राम रसायन तुम्हारे पासा सदा रहो रघुपति के दास जय वीर हनुमान आंजनेय हनुमान जय वीर हनुमान आंजनेय हनुमान जय वीर हनुमान आंजनेय हनुमान जय वीर हनुमान आंजनेय हरि जय हो भजन राम को पावे, जन्म जन्म के दुख बिसरावे, अंधकाल रघुबरपुर जाए, जहाँ जन्म हरि भक्त कहाए, और देवता चित्त न डरहि, हनुमत से सर्व सुख करहि, संकट घटे मिटे सब पीरा, जो सुमिरै हनुमत बलबीरा। जय 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 हनुमान गोसाई, कृपा करहु गुरुदेव की नाय, जो शत बार पाठ कर कोय, तुझई बंदी महासुख होय, जो यह पर हनुमान चालीसा, कोई सिद्धि साकी गौरी तल, तुलसीदास सदा हरि चेरा, कीजनाथ हृदय माधीर। जय वीर हनुमान अंजनी हनुमान, जय वीर हनुमान अंजनी हनुमान, जय वीर हनुमान अंजनी हनुमान, जय वीर हनुमान अंजनी 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 हनुमान, अंजनी 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 हनुमान, अंजनी 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 हनुमान, अंजनी 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 पवन तनय संकट हरन मंगल मूर्ति रो, राम लखन सीता सहित हृदय बसहो सुरभु। पवन सुत हनुमान की जय, बजरंगबली की जय। As we begin this beautiful afternoon in devotion, as we touch the feet of Bajrangabali once more, our katha, our message continues from the golden pages of the holy texts. Today once more we will listen to the kathas coming from the wonderful pages of the Tulsidas Ramayan, Valmiki Krit Ramayan, Sri Sankat Mochan Charitramanas, Sri Hanuman Ank, all put together to bring forth the essence of our message and to understand the essence of Lord Hanuman's katha. Remember, when we join in these messages, they may be slightly different to what you know from just one Ramayan text. And the reason for this is because Lord Hanumanji's version and his story, his kahanis, his purpose has been written through the Sri Hanuman Ank and through the Sri Hanuman Charitramanas. And our messages are coming from the words of Mahavir Swami, exactly what took place in his part of it. Like we say, there's always two sides of a story. Hanumanji will explain his part of the story, his part of the kahani. And today when we worship Mahavir, we'll say, Lord, everything happens by your name and by your grace. Today, Bhaktas, as you're about to go into the message, dive into the golden pages of our text. We continue with last night's message. What happened last night? It is said Lakshmana was struck by an arrow. It is said Indrajit, one of the sons of Ravana, he came onto the battlefield and nobody could see him. While no one could see him, he would hide in the clouds. Everyone, he would shoot down arrows like missiles on the earth and wherever the war was taking place on the battlefield. And he will then shoot at all those who were there, and all the monkeys and the bears, they were dying one by one. They couldn't withstand, their body couldn't withstand the burning and the explosion that would take place, the arrows that were shot from above. And today, my friends, it is said even Lakshmana was shot down. He remained there lying on the ground, and last night the katha stopped where everybody they were searching for Lord Hanumanji. And Hanumanji, after everything, he stood there strong and powerful. The gods above in the heavens, they chanted his name. That is why we started our katha once more today. Jai Hanuman Gyanu Guna Sagar, Jai Kapishati Holoka Ujagar, Rama Duta Tulita Baladhama, Anjani Putra Pavana Sutanama. And he saw Bajrangabali in his mighty and powerful form. As it was said by Jamwant, if Lord Hanumanji lives, the army lives. And today the war will continue. But while this war will continue, friends, Prabhu Ramachandra, he wakes up. He calls Jamwant. He calls Vibhishan. He calls, my friends, Lord Hanumanji, and together they're trying to wake up Lakshmana. But Lakshmana was shot by an arrow, and where he was shot, the entire area became now purple, bluish in color. Blood was oozing from that spot. The arrow was there. They tried to pull at the arrow, and Lord Hanumanji, he made one yank at it, and when he pulled, the arrow came out, but the area was poisoned by the arrow that was placed there. What would they do at this point? Prabhu Ramachandra, he starts to panic. He says, Hare Mahavir, he says, Pawan Putra, what will I go back and tell Sumintra Maya? What will I tell the people of Ayodhya if I were to go back alone without my Lakshmana? How will I live without my Sheshnag, my Ananta? Doesn't the world know that when I walk as Mahavishnu, my Ananta covers me? How will I go back to the heavens without my Lord, my Prabhu, my protector? And Lord Hanumanji, he says, Prabhu, please advise me, and whatever you say, I will do. And Prabhu, he knelt down on the ground and he started to feel the earth. He started to pull on the earth of Dharti Mata. And he says, Ma, only you know the pain of a child today. Ma, only you will understand the pain of this child today. My brother has gone. My brother is not breathing. He is not moving. His body is turning cold. Ma, guide me. In times of troubles and miseries and distress, whenever we want an advice, who do we turn to? We say, Ma. Today, my friends, as we begin our message, we join in this beautiful chant to Devi Mata. As Prabhu Ramachandra, he grasps the earth and he says, Ma Dharti, please come. Please help me. Please give me a sign of hope. Mahavir, Hanuman Baba, kneel down with me and please do something. Vibhishan, Jamwan. And words are about to be spoken while they pray. Om Narayani Om Narayani Om Narayani Om Narayani Om Jai Jagadambe Ma Durga Jai Jagadambe Ma Durga. Today, my friends, it is said while Mahavir Swami touches the earth, while Prabhu Ramachandra prays, he looks at the earth and he looks up into the skies and he says, Devi, give me a sign of hope. When we have a problem, we go to the mother, and while we pray to the mother, at that point we allow her to guide us and protect us. Jai Jagadambe Ma Durga Jai Jagadambe Ma Durga Jai Jagadambe Ma Durga Jai Jagadambe Ma Durga. Jai Durga. Narayani Om 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 Jaya Jagadambe Ma Durga Jai Jagadambe Ma Durga Jaya Jagadambe Ma Durga Jai Jagadambe Ma Durga. Narayani Om 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 Jaya Jagadambe Ma Durga Jai Jagadambe Ma Durga Jaya Jagadambe Ma Durga Jai Jagadambe Ma Durga. सत्यम ही तू है, ज्ञानम ही तू है, सत्यम ही तू है, ज्ञानमयी तू है, प्रेममयी भी तू है। हम बच्चों को वर दे, जय जय माँ, जय जय माँ, जय जय माँ, वर दे, 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 जय जय माँ, जय माँ, 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 जय जगदम्बे, जय जगदम्बे, जय जगदम्बे माँ दुर्गा, जय जगदम्बे माँ दुर्गा, जय जगदम्बे माँ दुर्गा, जय जगदम्बे माँ दुर्गा। नारायणी ओम, 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 जय जगदम्बे, जय जगदम्बे, जय जगदम्बे माँ दुर्गा, जय जगदम्बे माँ दुर्गा, जय जगदम्बे माँ दुर्गा, जय जगदम्बे माँ दुर्गा। आज शक्ति दुर्गा माता की जय। Prabhu Ramachandra, he's standing on the battlefield. He's not too far from the Suvela mountain, and he's not too far from the chambers or from the walls of Lanka. His brother has been struck. He feels hopeless and helpless. What will I tell the world? What will I tell my mother? What will I tell the entire village, the kingdom of Ayodhya? Would I say to them it is my fault that we would have lost Lakshmana? And while Prabhu Rama, he's wondering, Vibhishan walks up and he says, we still have time. Don't think it's too late. The poison has filled his shoulder, it has filled his chest, and you can see the purplish and the bluish color. Prabhu Rama, we need to act now. We need to bring one of the best doctors that there is, and there is one of the best physicians and the doctors in Lanka. He is the best because Ravana only goes to him. But Prabhu Rama says, but how will a Rakshasa doctor help us? And Vibhishan says, he is no Rakshasa doctor. Vibhishan says, he is an honest physician. He is one who stays in Lanka, but he is one who will do his best to revive anyone, whether it be his friend or whether it be his enemy. How many people in life have a problem when it comes to coexisting with your enemies and your friends? How many people feel that when you see your enemies in front of you or you see your friends in front of you, it means that you must be biased. You show one person a good face and you show the other bad because he may be your enemy. How many people have the mentality and the ability to walk amongst the people who don't like us and yet, amidst it all, still smile? How many people have the strength, that inner strength, that simplicity, that humility, that even though you walk a path in the world and the world is ready, some will love you and some will hate you, but along the path of the world, you smile. How many people have the ability with that humility to still smile through it all? To still look through it all? Prabhu Ramachandra stood before Ravana, and even when Ravana says, I will destroy you and I will destroy Sita Devi, he just looks and he smiles. He's holding on to a bow with arrows, but he is smiling because even in the midst of the enemies or the friends, he's never biased. Never be, my friends, biased to the people around you. Never show a negative face to the people around you. Never show the negative attitude to the people around you. Treat them alike in the world. Maybe to your heart, you know you will not go an extent or cross a limit with certain people. But that doesn't mean that you treat them ill, because every action has a reaction. It is said no matter what the situation, whatever the place may be in your path, the good you do will come back to you. And the bad you do definitely will come back. We go in a crowd, we go in a situation where we are probably in a mandir or in a crowded area, and we see people that we don't like, and instead we show them the bad face and we say, you know what, I won't say anything. Understand that what goes around will come around. Today, Bhaktas, in our message, while Prabhu Ramachandra is asking, Vibhishan says, this doctor will not take sides, but he has a passion for what he does. He loves doing what he does, and if he loves doing what he does, then no matter who comes there, he will take care of them. When you love what you do, then you don't pay attention to who likes you and who don't like you. When you love what you do, as a doctor, as your job, as whatever it may be, when you do what you do and you do it from your heart, then whether you walk apart, whether the world likes you or not, you will continue to do it because you do it with your heart's content. Prabhu Ramachandra says, but we need to bring that physician right now. If you know that there is such a person, we need to get him. And the Vibhishan says, there's only one person who can go. Let us call on you, Hanumanji. Pawan Putra, only you have the ability to increase your size or become small. Go back into Lanka, find your way in. If it means to become small and minute, like a mosquito, and get inside, find where that physician is. And he starts to direct him. He will be there. You make this corner and you look for this landmark and you will go there and you will see his little kutia. Night has dawned. And at this point, go and you will find him. Lord Hanuman, he prostrates to Prabhu Ramachandra. He bows. He takes blessings of God first. And there he's about to go. Anything you do in the world, bow. Touch the feet of God first, no matter what it is. You're getting off your bed, Jai Shri Ram. You're starting your car, Prabhu, thank you. You're about to sing, Jai Shri Ram Prabhu. You're about to eat, Om Namah Shivaya. You're about to do anything in the world, put God first. Katha tells us today, Hanumanji prostrates and he makes his leap. And very minute, he goes into Lanka and he's searching for the physician. When he sees a kutia somewhat from what had been explained to him, he goes to the kutia and he knocks on the door, and while he's knocking, nobody comes out. He goes through the window as he takes the minute form and he goes in and he sees the doctor lying there, and around him he's seeing all the utensils that the doctor would use. He's seeing all the equipments that the doctor would use, and he's wondering, well, how to wake him up. He goes and he shakes him by the bed a little bit and he realizes he doesn't move. So you know what he does? When he shakes him and he doesn't move, this is what he does. Shri Ram Jai Rama Jaya Jaya Rama Shri Ram Jai Rama Jai Jai Rama. He says, I have no time to waste. A life is precious. Life is important. No matter who it is in the world, a life is important. And before we lose Lakshmana, every second that goes by is very important. So he goes now at the front of the kutia and he knocks one more time and he listens. And nobody gets up. So you know what? Jai Shri Ram. He grows to his normal height, his normal form, and there he starts to root out the kutia with his hands. And when he roots it, Jai Shri Ram, he lifts it in his hand, and there he props it on his shoulder, and he makes a big leap, and he jumps out of Lanka. Poor doctor sleeping inside the kutia, and he doesn't know anything going on. He takes the kutia and he goes now to the battlefield and he places it down not too far from where the Lord is. And Vibhishan says, yes, Hanuman, that is the doctor's place, that is his kutia. They open the door and they enter. And when they enter, the doctor, hearing the commotion, he opened his eyes. And when he jumped up and he looked around and he walked out the doorway, he's in the middle of a battlefield. Imagine you go to sleep in your nice bed in a nice little room, and when you wake up and you walk outside, what do you see? A whole battlefield, and many people died. He sees everybody there, and Vibhishan knows him. He says, Sushen, he puts his hands together, we need your help, please, please. And because by instinct he loves to do what he loves, which is being a doctor, he sees Lakshmana and he doesn't waste time. He goes up to him and he kneels down, and when he looks at the chest and he looks at the bluish color and he looks at the manner in which the poison has now spread, he says, Prabhu Ram, I have heard of your greatness. Haath jodkar. Prabhu Ramachandra, please accept my condolences. I am not too sure what we can do. The only way we can save him is to bring what we call the Mrita Sanjeevani. There are different types of Sanjeevani, but we need the Mrita Sanjeevani, which is very, very important. And you only have until sunrise, because the poison has contaminated his body so much. It has gone through his veins and his pores. You only have a little period until sunrise. If sunrise would reach and we cannot do what we must, then I am afraid to say he may not be able to live long. Prabhu Ramachandra, his eyes are filled with tears. What do I do? And there Jamwant goes up, and there he speaks to Lord Hanuman. Pavanaputra, you know what you have to do. Pavanaputra, there's no other like you. He starts to speak motivational words to him. We can become successful if people motivate us, not so. Sometimes we want a little extra push. Sometimes we want to just be a part of listening to a message to say, you know what, you can do it. Sometimes we need the motivation. We must always have that right person in our life, or the right people that says, you know what, you can do it. I support you. I will be there for you. Everything will work out. Sometimes we just want to hear that one word. And while Prabhu Ram is down and he can't move, there Jamwat goes and he whispers in the ear of Lord Hanumanji, and he starts to motivate him. It is only you, Bajrangabali. We have just a few hours, and you must do what you must. Please, you must follow now the request of this doctor. And you must go now to that wonderful mountain, the Dronagiri mountain. And there you will find the herb. You will find the Mrita Sanjeevani. And there the doctor starts to speak out, and he says, bear in mind that when you go there, Hanumanji, if you're going to look for that medicine, you must look for Mrita Sanjeevani, because it restores a dead person back to life. But you have an entire battlefield. You have many warriors that have fallen. You have Sugriv that is wounded. You have Angal, Nal, Neel. All of these have been wounded. Not only for Lakshmana, he says, but Mrita Sanjeevani is capable of restoring life. Vishayalakshakarini is another herb that heals wounds that have been hurt by weapons. The Swarnakarani, it is a herb that restores the body back into its original complexion. And there's what we call the Sandhani. That, my friends, that is one that will restore back and connect back the limbs together, limbs that have been broken, the hands that have been broken, the cuts that have been placed there. Today, if you can bring back these 4 herbs. While growing up, we would have heard that Lord Hanumanji only brought the Sanjeevani. But today, he's been told in the Sri Hanuman Ank that if you can bring back these 4 herbs, you can bring back the whole army, not just Lakshmana. And Hanumanji says, if this is what I must do, then this is what I will do. He prostrates, and he's about to go on his mission. And while he's about to make this leap, God's above there looking down to see now Lakshmana. He doesn't even move and he doesn't even breathe. And Hanumanji begins his mission, and he's about to go now. Beautiful Chaupai says, Shri Rama Jai Rama Jai Jai Rama Shri Rama Jai Rama Jaya Jaya Rama Shri Rama Jaya Rama Jaya Jaya Rama Shri Rama Jaya Rama Jaya Jaya Rama said, my dear friends, on this beautiful day, while Bajrangbali, he makes the leap, he makes one leap and into the air, he goes, Jai Shri Ram, and he shoots out into the air. He's heading in the direction of Dronagiri mountain. He's about to find that herb, all the herbs put together, so that he will save the life of not only Lakshmana, but the entire battlefield. And while he's going on his way, he will not be distracted. He's passing above all the valleys and all the mountains and all the rivers and all the streams. He's crossing the ocean, my friends. Scripture tells us, while he goes across the vast ocean, he will pass over, my friends, that most southern part of India. He will then pass Kishkinda, and he will keep going up, my friends, up to the northern part of Bangladesh. And while he's going, listen, my friends. Jai Shri Ram! Taba lagi ho. Jaya Jaya Rama. Prabhu Ramachandra ki Jai. Lord Hanumanji left that spot in Lanka and he started to travel. And while he's traveling, he will pass Kishkinda. He will pass the Dandaka forest. He will pass the Vindhya mountains. He will pass the Aryavarta. And at this point, he's about to pass over Ayodhya. Lord Hanumanji is moving fast and he's passing across Ayodhya. At that point, the people of Ayodhya, it is dark, it is late night, and the people of Ayodhya, they see something big and huge in the sky passing across. He is like a shadow amongst the clouds. They become scared. And when they become scared, who will they turn to? They have run to the palace of Ayodhya, and who is sitting there? Bharata, the brother of Prabhu Rama. Bharata is sitting there. Every day that goes by, he misses his brother so much. He will sit by the chapel. He will sit by that footwear, and he will pray, and he will cry, and he will beg, and he will wait for the day until his brother returns. While he's there and he's now washing that chapel, one of the members of the village, they run into the ashram. And they sing, Bharata, aao na, aao, deko, deko. Look, all the villagers are outside and they're scared. Who is that? Is it a monster? It is a monster passing in the skies. And Vibhishan, my friends, he felt something while he was on the battlefield. He looked at Prabhu Ram and he says, Prabhu, send your energy towards Hanumanji. Even while Prabhu is sending his energy, at that point the connection is being felt. Bharata, he goes and he takes his bow and he mounts an arrow, and seeing the shadow looking like a monster in the sky, he releases an arrow and he calls out Jai Shri Ram in the name of his brother. He releases the arrow, As soon as the arrow passes through the clouds, it does not hit Hanumanji, but it pushes him to the side and makes him create an imbalance in the air. And then he falls to the earth. And when he falls, not too far from Ayodhya, he stands up and he shakes off himself and he looks around. But before he can leap again, Bharata walks up to him and he says, "Kaun ho tum?" And he aims another arrow at him. Naam kya hai? Are you a monster? Have you come to destroy Ayodhya? This is the place of Prabhu Ramachandra. And if you think you will destroy this place, I will destroy you. And when he hears Prabhu Ramachandra, he turns for a second and he pauses and he turns to Bharata and he puts his hands together in a form of respect and humility. And he says, "You've mentioned Prabhu Ram? This is Ayodhya? My Prabhu Ram? Mera Prabhu Ram ji? Are you the brother? He's spoken so much about you. Are you Bharata?" And he puts his hands together. He says, "Main Rama Bhakta Hanuman. Main Rama Duta Hanuman. I am a servant of your Lord Prabhu Ramachandra. I have not come to destroy, to hurt your place. But I am searching for a mountain. I'm heading to the Dronagiri mountain." And he starts to tell Bharata everything that is taking place. "Bharata, I'm going in that direction because Lakshmana is in a battlefield. Sita Mata has been kidnapped." And he's telling him the entire kahani. And when he hears the kahani, Lakshmana, in order, my friends, to be regained of his consciousness, while he has lost all his will and all his power and all his strength, doesn't know anything that is taking place in the world, a union of Lord Hanumanji and Bharata has been created. Bharata goes up to Lord Hanuman. He kneels down and he says, "Today I would like to wash your feet. You have been in the company of my brother and you're worthy of worship because of the energy that you have, because of the aura that you possess." He calls on some of the people of the village and they were brought now water and they're about to wash the feet of Lord Hanumanji. And Lord Hanumanji, he puts his hands together. He says, "I can't stay for long." But Bharata says, "You are powerful." Jai 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 Hanuman Gosai, Kripa Karo Gurudev ki naye. He's washing the feet of Lord Hanuman and Bharata prostrates and he says, "I will bless you to make sure that my brother is well. Because as brothers we will stand together no matter what. Even though my brother may not be alive at this time, you're trying your best, we will help him. We will work together and we will help." Today, my friends in society, we must help our brothers and our sisters. We must not laugh at them when they fall. We must help our brothers and sisters, and doesn't mean only blood brothers and sisters, but our brothers in dharma, our sisters in dharma, our brothers and sisters who stand up to upkeep our dharma, our religion, our culture, our dharma. Dharma kshetre kurukshetri samavita yuyutsavaha. Protect your dharma, my friends, and your dharma will protect you. The lords have taken incarnations to come to the earth to show us how to live the righteous path. Today, Bharata says, "Hanumanji, we will work together. How can I help you, Bajrangabali? When last have you gone to your brother whom you see maybe having a hard time and say, 'Hey, how can I help you?' When last have you gone to your sister or to your mother or to your father and seen them struggling to do something and say, 'Hey, how can I help you?' According to what they say in many different religions, be your brother's keeper. Help one another. Support one another. Today, Bharata says, 'How can I help you?' Hanumanji says, 'I want to go to Dronagiri very fast, but you've stopped me. I've paused at this time and time is going before dawn. I must find these herbs." And there Bharata says, "Okay, can you make yourself small?" And he pulls one of his most powerful arrows and he mounts it and he starts to pray. And he says his prayer and he then aims it in the direction of Dronagiri. And he says, "Bajrangabali, if you can become small and you can sit at the tip of this arrow, I will shoot it. It will fly as fast as Pawan Dev. And you will reach there in no time." And Bajrangabali, he clasps his hands with his gara in his hand. Jai Shri Ram. And he starts to become minute now. and he starts to become small. And as small, my friends, as a little bee, scripture says. He becomes as small as a bee, and he sits on top of the arrow, at the shaft of the arrow. And as soon as it is released, with the speed of the wind, he is heading once more in the direction of Dholanagiri. Ravana has heard where people of the village of Ayodhya were speaking about a monster in the sky. He took a peek out of his window and he still saw that nobody was there. He saw the battlefield is empty. He saw Prabhu Ram sitting and crying, but he saw Lakshmana is dead, and he celebrates. The weakness of Prabhu Ram has taken place. So he celebrates, but I'm not seeing that furry one. So he calls on one of the members of his ministry. He says, Karl Nemi, I'm calling on you. You know sorcery and you know magic. This is what I want you to do. Go to that mountain in which I think they are going. You will find that one who burnt Lanka. And I want you to poison him as well. Show him the power of poison from the Rakshasa clan. So Karl Nemi, he goes fast. It is said with sorcery, you will be able to teleport and you will be able to disappear from one spot to the other very quickly. And he goes to Dronagiri before Hanumanji. And when he goes there, he goes by a lake and he sets up now a nice kutia and he changes his form to look like a Brahmana. And he sits now with a kamandalu in his hand, and the kamandalu is filled with water. But in the water there's poison because he knows Hanumanji will come, and after a long journey, he will be thirsty. So he puts poison into the water. And Hanumanji is coming now. While he's coming, let me ask you this question to the Bhaktas. The world around us is trying to poison us. What will you do to get out of it? The world is trying to poison our thoughts and our mind and our bodies and our consciousness and the way we think and the way we live. What will you do? Hanumanji, he drops at the top of Dronagiri and he sees a lake. And there he sees a kutia. He sees the sadhu who's sitting there, and he walks up to the sadhu in order to ask for permission to drink of the water from the lake. So he walks up and he says, Maharaj, and he puts his hands together. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namo Namaha. I would like to partake of some water from this river, from this lake that is there. And they call me in the form of the Brahmana. He says, no, why drink there? I have nice clean water in this pot. Why don't you partake of this? And I will help you find whatever you want to find in this mountain. Hanumanji is smart at minds. He says, no, I don't want a little bit. I want to drink and I want to also wash myself. I've been in battle. I want more than just that little kamandalu of water that you have. I would like to go in the lake. And there Kal Nemi says, well, go. If you want to go, then go into the lake if you wish. Hanumanji, he walks into the waters. He takes a handful of water and he drinks of it. He takes some and he's about to wash his body. And he walks deeper and deeper. And when he goes into the lake, suddenly now, he feels something grabbing onto his leg. He feels something grabbing onto his foot. And he feels the sharp teeth that is wedged between his foot. And he starts to pull. He starts to pull with his might. And when he pulls and he walks back onto shore, he's dragging out a huge crocodile from this lake. That crocodile is trying to grip onto Hanumanji. And Hanumanji in his mind, he says, I haven't come to waste time. Today, I will stand firm by the blessings of my Lord, Prabhu Shri Ramachandra. Jai Shri Ram! Jai Shri Ram! Jai Shri Ram! He places down the gada and he holds on to the jaw and he starts to rip the jaw of this crocodile and he rips it apart. And as soon as the jaws of the crocodile have been ripped apart, he bursts into two and he threw it on the sides. And when he threw it, coming from the heart of this crocodile is a beautiful goddess, is a beautiful celestial dancer. And she stands there and she puts her hands together and she says, I know who you are. I've been told about you. And today the world will know who you are as well. Jai Siya Ram, Jai Jai Hanuman. Jai Siya Ram, Jai Jai Hanuman. She looks at Hanumanji She says, you're the son of the wind god. I was shrapped to become a crocodile in this lake, and I was told that the day I will be motivated will be the day the son of the wind god breaks me apart. I know you will save the world now. Before you go further, let me tell you, see that person there? In the form of the crocodile, I've noticed that person is not someone you can trust. He has poison in that kamandalu. He has poison waiting to poison you. And Bajrangabali says, poison? He takes one of this. He says, poison? He takes it in his hand, Jai Shri Ram. And he walks up to him. And while Kalnemi is in meditation as though he is the holy sage, he holds it in his hand. And scripture tells us, with one blow, beheading Kalnemi, it is said the head simply rolls off and it falls to the earth. And he says, nobody will stop me today when I will go back to my Lord successfully. It is said the head simply rolls off in a second with the power and the might of Bajrangabali. He is destroyed, none other than Kalnemi. Pavan Sudha Hanuman ki jai, Bajrangabali ki jai. Now Hanumanji makes a leap and he goes to the peak of Dronagiri. And when he goes to the peak, he's searching for the herb. While he's searching for that herb, it is a herb that could bring them back to life. We've heard of it. Scripture says, Mritya Sanjeevani can restore a dead back to life. Can you imagine if you get some of that? Mritya Sanjeevani can bring back dead back to life. When we would have heard of the life-giving tree, we would have taken that leaf, that life-giving leaf. How you call it? The wonder of the world. The wonder of the world is just one type. It is like having so many different kinds of orchids and seeing one orchid and saying this one is just like that one, but they are different types of orchids. The wonder of the world leaf, it is one type of the Sanjeevani. Scripture tells us today, the Sanjeevani is of many types. Hanumanji is searching for them. Mritya Sanjeevani, Vishayalakshakarani, Suvarnakarani, Sandhani. They have the ability together to bring back life, heal any part of your body as long as they use together. Do you know many scriptures have spoken about many things that we have in the world today? Many things that we have. For example, the neem that we use for prayers and worship. And the neem has been used for many great things. Today you have neem soap, you have neem toothpaste, you have neem pills, you have neem cream, you have neem wash, everything. Why? Because it helps the skin, it helps the body, it helps remove negativity, it helps remove negative aura, many different things. Today, many of the things that we use in prayers and puja has so much of benefits. The hardi, the dye, the turmeric, how many significance does it have? Today, my friends, also at that point, Lord Hanumanji saw the tree of the Madar. Do you know how powerful that Madar is? Many people have seen the Madar flower that is offered to Lord Shankar Bholinath. Today it is said that the Madar flower, it has so much significance and power. If you dry the flowers and you grate it and you put it and you make tea with it, it is good for inflammation. You can rub it on the body, you can mix it with oils and you can rub it on the body and you can apply it on different parts of the body and it can help, my friends, to even remove marks on the skin. To those who are going through or having problems with asthma, breathing issues, you can mix some rock salt while you break it up. You grind the dried flowers and you put rock salt into it and you mix it up and you drink a teaspoon a day and it is good for asthma. It is good for the bronchitis. It is good for the lungs as well. It is good for cold. It is good for cough. Relieving all of this. The power of the simple things that we have. But be careful of something. It goes by moderation. If you break one of the flower of the Madar, you will see milk, a milky substance. That milky substance can help. If you have a mark, if you have a cut, and you put it onto the cut immediately, it will heal fast and not leave a mark behind. If you have a rash, if you have something pertaining to the skin, if you have skin problems, it is said if you have boils and sores, if you have ringworms, even the milk of that tree can remove it by rubbing it there. But be careful, too much can be poisonous. That is the thing. Use it in moderation. Today the Sanjeevani can help. but with a mixture, and even then in moderation. While the Mrita Sanjeevani is about to be found, today, Lord Hanumanji, he has gone onto the Dronagiri, that divine spot, that the peak, and he starts to search. And all he can remember is the doctor saying, this herb will glow in the dark. But he sees one glowing red, he sees one glowing green, he sees a flower glowing, he sees a leaf glowing. Which is the correct one that is glowing? Which one to choose from and which one to pick up? He's walking around and he's searching and he's looking and he doesn't know which one to take. Which will be the better one? Which one will help him? Which one will be the right one to take? Or how much of which one to even take? And this is what he decides to do. Time is running out. He looks at the moon is about to set. He looks at the sun will rise soon. You know what? Let's take care of that first. Do you know what he does? Lord Hanumanji, he soars into the skies, and when he goes into the skies, he takes the moon and he grabs onto the moon, Chandrama Devta, and he places him in his mouth and he keeps him shut. And he takes Bhagwan Surya and he says, Maaf kijiye Prabhu, you're like a guru to me, but today, if you rise, Lakshmana will die. Please, you will not rise today because I am Pavanaputra. And today, by the blessings of my Lord Prabhu Ram, you will not rise. And he grabs hold onto the sun and he places it under his arm and he holds him tight. And he says, today you won't move. And today the moon, Chandrama, you won't move. And there he goes to the Parvat. And when he sees the mountain, he says, today I will have to pick up this mountain. I don't know what to choose. Jai Shri Ram! And he starts to grow to his beautiful form. He starts to rise to his wonderful form. And he says, today, I will now take the entire Parvat. I don't know what to use, but I will take the entire Parvat. Jai Shri Ram. And he starts to root it out now. With one hand, he starts to root this mountain and he would lift it in the air. And he's about to make his leap. Jai Shri Ram. Jai Shri Ram. Jai Shri Ram. The gods of the heavens, they are seeing Lord Hanumanji taking the Sanjeevani to bring back the life of Lakshmana. जब लक्ष्मण जी बेहोश हुए संजीवनी भूति लान गए संजीवनी भूति लान गए जब लक्ष्मण जी बेहोश हुए संजीवनी भूति लान गई. Jai Shri Ram. And he starts to move in the air, and while he's going, he's passing back over Ayodhya, and all the villagers of Ayodhya, they start applauding Jai Shri Ram, because they are seeing Lord Hanumanji mighty, powerful, and he's taking the mountain to his divine Lord Prabhu Ram and Lakshmana. दुनिया में देव हजारों है, बजरंग बली का क्या कहना. दुनिया में देव हजारों है, बजरंग बली का क्या कहना. इनकी भक्ति का क्या कहना, इनकी शक्ति का क्या कहना. दुनिया में देव हजारों है, बजरंग बली हो. सात समंदर लांग गए, ये गर लंका में उड़ गए. ये सात समंदर लांग गई, ये गर लंका में उड़ गए. रावण को डराना क्या कहना, लंका को जलाना क्या कहना. दुनिया में देव हजारों है, बजरंग बली का क्या कहना. बोले जब लक्ष्मण जी बेहोश हुए संजीवनी भूति लान गए, संजीवनी भूति लान गए। जब लक्ष्मण जी बेहोश हुए संजीवनी भूति लान गए, जब लक्ष्मण जी बेहोश हुए संजीवनी भूति लान गए। पर्वत को उतारना क्या कहना, लक्ष्मण को जलाना क्या कहना। दुनिया में देव हजारों है, बजरंग बली बोले। भक्तों इनके सीने में सिया राम की जोड़ी बहती है। ओ भक्तों इनके सीने में सिया राम की जोड़ी बहती है। ये राम दीवाना क्या कहना, गुणगान जमाना क्या कहना। ये राम दीवाना क्या कहना, गुणगान जमाना क्या कहना। दुनिया में देव हजारों है, बजरंग बली का क्या कहना। दुनिया में देव हजारों है, बजरंग बली का क्या कहना। इनकी शक्ति का क्या कहना, इनकी भक्ति का क्या कहना। इनकी शक्ति का क्या कहना, इनकी भक्ति का क्या कहना। दुनिया में देव हजारों है, बजरंग बली का क्या कहना। बजरंग बली का क्या कहना, बजरंग बली का क्या कहना। बजरंग बली का क्या कहना, बजरंग बली का क्या कहना। बजरंग बली का क्या कहना। बजरंग बली की जय। Lord Hanumanji, moving as fast as he can, he's holding on to the Parvat. In his mouth has Chandrama, and under his arm he has Prabhu Surya Narayan Swami, and he's going as fast as he can. Devotees of Ayodhya, they've spotted him, and while he's going back, they've all prostrated to him to see his strength, lifting the entire mountain, the tip of the mountain, and taking it back. And with the might, while he's going back now to Lanka, he reaches the abode of Lanka, and he starts to circle in the sky. And there, Jamwan sees him and he spots him and he says, Vibhishan, look, dekho na, Prabhu Ramachandra, Mahavir has come, and the morning hasn't dawned as yet. And Prabhu Ram stands up to see how powerful his bhakta, how powerful his devotee is. When he sees his devotee, he stands up and he puts his hands together. It is said, because of the aura and the energy, because of the aura and the energy of the Sanjeevani on the tip of the mountain, even at that point, because the flowers and the leaves at the tip of the mountain and the scent would start to fill the atmosphere for a second, although Lakshmana could not breathe all the time. It is said he simply shook a little bit and he turned a little bit as though he was just asleep, only because of the vibrations, the aura and the energy of the Sanjeevani. Hanumanji, he placed it onto the earth, and when he placed it there, automatically with the scent, some of the warriors, they started shaking and waking up a little bit, because in the atmosphere it's as though magic had fallen onto the place. Somebody once asked, and one great sage asked once, he says, if the Sanjeevani and the atmosphere and the energy of the Sanjeevani brought back some of the lives of the warriors of Prabhu Ramachandra, what about the warriors of Ravana? But then according to Tulsikrit Ramayana, it is said while the warriors of Ravana's crew, they had fallen in battle, by afternoon, Ravana would have sent out many of his charioteers to gather these bodies and throw them into the ocean. There were not many bodies remaining of the crew of Ravana. But the bodies of Prabhu Ramachandra's crew and his army, they started to wake up a little bit. So Sugriv started to feel energy and he would shake his little fingers. Sushen, the doctor, he says, let us not waste time. Let us now go on to this mountain and let's see what we can find. And he climbs up and he looks for these specific herbs that he must find. And he sees one and he sees another and he takes another and he mixes them together. But he says that this time when I mix it, I need now a mortar and a pestle. I need to grind them together. I need a mortar and pestle. Where will I get it? Hare! Vibhishan says, I know where there's one. In the palace of Ravana. It is night. He's asleep. In the palace of Ravana, you go to the kitchen. Hanumanji, only you can do it. There's a little mortar and pestle. You'll be able to find it there. Go and bring it. We need one that is strong enough to mix all these herbs together. And Mahavir says, it is right there. I will be back soon. Jai Shri Ram. And he makes his leap. He becomes minute and he goes into the kitchen. But while he's searching in the kitchen, he can't find it. He goes now through the cupboards and he's looking and he can't find it. And there, before he could leave, panicking as to where he would find it so fast, he sees it on the floor by the door of the kitchen. And when he picks it up, he says, I wonder who put it here. It is said out of the mind and the strength of Bajrangbali, he had fear for no one. He says, you know what? Just for putting Lakshmana down on the ground, I will go and tease Ravana today. Do you know what he did? He went and he peeked into the room of Ravana. He saw Ravana lying on his bed. He saw Mandodari. And he says, today I will teach him a lesson. He goes quietly. And while Ravana is fast asleep, he takes the hair of Ravana and he ties it to the post of the bed in which Ravana is lying down. Sri Hanuman Ank speaks of this. He ties it to the bed head. And there he says a prayer and he says a mantra. And when he casts a spell, right there. And you know what the spell was? The spell was that the only way he can loose out that hair from the post of his bed head is if Mandodari give him a kick on his head. So he tied the hair, he said his mantra, he cast his spell, and there he walked by the door, and there he knocked. And as soon as he knocked, he looked at Ravana and he says, Jai Shri Ram. And he's about to leave. And as he runs out the door, Ravana pulls and realizes that his hair is tied to the pillar, to that post of the bed. He pulls and he tries to yank it out, but it can't move. And being that it can't move, Hanumanji peeks and he says, I've put a strap. You want to play sorcery? For Kal Nemi, this is sorcery. This is real sorcery. The only way you can come out of this, Ravana, is if Mandodari would kick you in your head now. You take that. At that point, Hanumanji left. Ravana thought he's powerful. He pulled and he pulled and he pulled and he couldn't do it. And there, big Ravana, he looked at Mandodari in bed and he put his hands together. Mandodari, kick me, please. Mandodari, please kick me in my head. I need to get rid of this. Jai Bhagwan, the great king, Mai Lankesh, who is who now? Mandodari had to give him a kick. He begged and there she gave him one kick. She took all the frustration of kidnapping Sita Devi. I tell you, you will have to learn your lesson one day. And with one kick, and automatically it starts to release and he pulls it out. He says, I will kill that one who's called Hanuman. And there he runs out and he looks. And while he's speaking, he's seeing something happening. He sees Hanumanji going and there's a gathering of people and everybody there together. A few of them they're gathering, a few of the monkeys and the bears they're gathering together. And he's watching to see what is happening, but he doesn't know. Hanumanji goes and he takes the mortar and the pestle, and there now the doctor starts to mix everything all together. And when he mixes it, he starts to rub it on the different parts of Lakshmana. And he says, I have to rub this medicine deep. Why? Because the poison has reached the bloodstream. It has reached the veins of Lakshmana. And he starts to rub it onto the chest of Lakshmana. And while he's rubbing it onto the chest, Prabhu Ram, his hands are folded. And he's only saying now, please, come back to me, my brother. Please come back to me. I don't know what I'll do if I lose you, my brother. Sita Mata, she's Devi, Adi Shakti, and maybe she can go back to the heavens. But my brother, very dearest to me, like the Sheshnag Ananta. I cannot get back you, brother. Please come back to me. When they start pacing, now this paste of medicine on the chest of Lakshmana, he starts to turn a little bit. He starts to move a little bit. And while he starts to move, this is what happens, my friends. He turns and he twists, and suddenly his eyes are starting to wink a little bit. And while his eyes are winking, Prabhu Ramachandra, he's waiting for the opportune moment. And he sees now that Lakshmana is about to open the eyes. And as soon as the eyes peek open, he says, Bhaiya, Bhaiya, utna, Bhaiya. Prabhu Ramachandra, he can't believe his brother is opening his eyes. And as soon as the eyes open, he sits up and he could feel a little pain. But he says, Prabhu, am I alive? Am I here? And Prabhu holds on to him. And he squeezes him and he says, brother, you're alive. Today you're alive. And you're alive because of whom? You're alive of the strength of Bajrangabali. You are alive because of Lord Hanumanji. Today he has sacrificed. And today you are alive. And we will continue our war. And we will show Ravana that we are no ordinary individuals. We are no ordinary people. But we will stand and we will fight and we will bring back Sita Devi Mata safe and sound. And Lakshmana stands up. And when he stands, Bajrangabali, he says, Prabhu, now everything is all safe and well and good. Prabhu Ramachandra embraces Bajrangabali. And he says, today, nobody will know how much love I have for you. Nobody will be able to compare how much love I have for you. Jai Siya Ram, Jai Jai Hanuman. Jai Siya Ram, Jai Jai Hanuman. Bajrangabali ki. And Pavanaputra stands there. And when he looks at the Lord, embracing him, the Lord pulls back and he says, you know something? Hanumanji, you are so good. You are so powerful and you are so good, Hanumanji. Imagine you had enough time to go straight to Dronagiri and come back and go for the Mortan Pestle and save Lakshmana. Until this time, the sun has not risen and the moon has not set. Hanumanji, you are powerful. And Hanumanji says, and he raises his arm. And you see now, bright like the sun. Prabhu Surya, maaf kijiye, I forgot you. Maaf kijiye. Om Bhur Bhuva Swaha Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Diyo Yona Prachodaya. And Bhagavan Surya says, it's about time. It is about time, Hanumanji. I was suffocating under your arm, Swami. It is about time that I was released. The day must come. And the moon, Prabhu, and he says, oh. And he pulls out Chandramadev. He says, Maaf kiji, please forgive me. But if both of you had done what you had to do, if you had risen, Bhagavan Surya, Lakshmana would have died. Today, I had to do what I had to do. At that point, they all started celebrating. And while they're celebrating, Prabhu Ramachandra ki jai! The monkeys are starting to dance together because the Lord has come back to life. And while they're dancing together, Ravana hears the outburst of laughter and joy. Morning has dawned. And he says, but why are they laughing? They would have been destroyed. Why are they laughing? He's speaking out. And he sees these two people standing there and he says, but I can't believe it. Indrajit destroyed them. I can't believe it. Indrajit, come. What have you done? Didn't you say you destroyed Ram and Lakshmana? How come they're standing? What is wrong? And even Indrajit says, Ravana, they are no ordinary people. If I could have shot the deadliest of my arrows filled with poison to hit the chest of Prabhu Ram and Lakshmana, and they're standing, Prabhu, I think it is time you made a mistake. Prabhu, I think it is time. Prabhu Ravana, I've worshipped you. At this time, you must give back Sita Devi. And Ravana says, don't you dare speak wretched words. Don't you speak words like this towards me. Do you want me to behead you? Well, make your pick now. Either I behead you or you go and die in the battlefield today. And there, Indrajit thinks about it and he says, you know what? It is probably best I die at the hands of God than to die at your hands. So he says, I have a plan. And this is the plan. he goes down to the doorways and he creates now his magic. And the gateway has opened. And while Prabhu Ram is celebrating, Indrajit comes out on a golden chariot and the trumpet is heard. The sounds of the drums are heard to gather the attention. And Prabhu Ram is looking out now. Is something happening? Vibhishan, what is going on? And when they looked at the doorways of Lanka, it has been opened. And there Indrajit is riding on a chariot. And his hands are in the air. And he's trying to say to everybody, to all the monkeys, Ram, Lakshmana, my uncle Vibhishan, I surrender. I've come to show you something. And he's pulling a chariot behind him. And in that chariot, Sita Mata is seated there. Sita Mata is seated on the chariot. And he pulls the chariot to the center of the field. And there he says, Ram, Lakshmana, Hare, Ravana, Dekho, this is your problem. Sita Mata is your problem. Is that why we are fighting today? Is that why we are having a war today? And he pulls out his sword. And he says, today I want you to see, is this why we are fighting today? Ram, Lakshmana? If this is a problem that has the world fighting, and he starts to pass it close to the hand of Sita Devi, and he starts to place the blade towards the hand of Sita Mata, he starts to scratch on the hand of Sita Devi, and blood starts to ooze from the hand of the mother. It is said you would pass it on the cheek of Sita Mata, and blood will ooze from the cheek of Devi. And Prabhu Ram feels hurt. He says, no, 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 I can't bear to see this. I can't bear to see it. Somebody do something. Why would Sita Mata be hurt like this? What did she do to go through something like this? And while Prabhu Ram is looking, at that point, there Indrajit, he takes his sword, and there he cuts a long cut on the hand of Sita Devi, and the blood starts to ooze. And Mahavir Swami, he says, no, I can't do it. My heart hurts to see Devi Mata like this. She has no karma to pay. Why is she suffering? Hanumanji, he builds his mind and he builds his strength. While in the eyes of Prabhu Shri Ramachandra, just tears. Prabhu says, I cannot bear to see anymore. Shri Ram Jaya Rama Jaya Jaya Rama Shri Ram Jaya Rama Jaya Jaya Rama Shri Ram Jaya Rama Jaya Jaya Rama Shri Ram Jaya Rama Jaya Jaya Rama. Prabhu Ram, he turns to Lakshmana. Bhaiya, do something. Vibhishan, do something. Vibhishan, I've lost my strength. I cannot look at Sita Devi Mata bleeding like this. She did nothing wrong. Do something before I destroy the world. Hanumanji, do something. And while Lord Rama's heart hurts and he sees blood oozing from the hands and from the face of Sita Mata, devotees, tomorrow night we will continue with what happens next. Prabhu Ramachandra ki jai, Bajrang ki jai. At this time, we end our message, but we stand now for beautiful arati. आरती की जय हनुमान लला की दुष्ट दलन रघुनाथ कला की आरती की जय हनुमान लला की दुष्ट दलन रघुनाथ कला की आरती की जय हनुमान लला की दुष्ट दलन रघुनाथ कला की जाके बल से गिरिवर कापे रोग दोष जाके निकट न जापे के बल से गिरिवर गाते, रोग दोष जाके निकट न जाके, अंजनी 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 पुत महाबलदाई, दंतन के प्रभु सदा सहाये। देवीरा 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 रघुनाथ पताए, लंका जारी सिया सुधि लाए। देवीरा रघुनाथ पताए, लंका जारी सिया सुधि लाए। लंका से लंका से लंका से कोट समुद्र से गाए, जात पवन सुत बार न लाए। लक्ष्मण मूर्छित परे सकारे, आणि संजीवन प्राण उबारे। जय बजरंगबली। लक्ष्मण मूर्छित परे सकारे, आणि संजीवन प्राण उबारे। कैती हो कैती पतार, तोरे जमकारी, कही रावण के भुजा उचारी। सुनर मुनि आरती उतारे, जय 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 हनुमान उचारे। सुनर मुनि आरती उतारे, जय 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 हनुमान उचारे। कंचन 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 करत दूर उचारे, आरती करत अंजना माही। जय 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 हनुमान, 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 जय 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 हनुमान। त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव, त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा त्वमेव, त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव, त्वमेव सर्वं मम देव देव, त्वमेव सर्वं मम देव देव। ओम शांति शांति शांति, हरि ओम। ईशपतिशा जगन्निवासा जगदोधारा नमः शिवाय। ईशपतिशा जगन्निवासा जगदोधारा नमः शिवाय। हो ईशपतिशा जगन्निवासा जगदोधारा नमः शिवाय। ईशपतिशा जगन्निवासा जगदोधारा नमः शिवाय। जगदोधारा गिरिजा रमणा, जगदोधारा जगदोधारा Jagadodhara Namah Shivaya, Jagadodhara Namah Shivaya, Namah Shivaya, Om 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 Namah Shivaya. Om Namo Hanumate Namaha, Om Namo Hanumate Namaha, Om Namo Hanumate Namaha, Om Namo Hanumate Namaha. Jai Bajrangbali. Om Namo Hanumate Namaha, 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 Om Namo Hanumate Namaha. Jai Shri Ram. Om Namo Hanumate Namaha, 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 Om Namo Hanumate Namaha. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om. पवन सुधा हनुमान की जय, बजरंगबली की जय, सत्य सनातन धर्म की जय. Jai Jai Sitaram. Asanaji, we take our seats. As we take our seats once more, we conclude another beautiful night of our devotion. And until we meet once more tomorrow night, Jai Shri Ram.